Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia is the smallest Rocky Mountain construction hybrid coaster out there. This coaster stands just 100 feet or 30 meters tall and has just 2,400 feet or 732 meters of track. When this RMC conversion was announced, many criticized the lack of a third lap and the ride's short length. But is this really an issue? Or is Twisted Cyclone still one of RMC's strongest coasters? Find out in this review of Twisted Cyclone. Georgia Cyclone was one of 4 clones of the Coney Island Cyclone that Six Flags built. This one opened in 1990 and was built by the Din Corporation. Throughout the 1990s, Georgia Cyclone was a perennial top 10 contender in annual wooden coaster polls. This was my favorite Din coaster. I rode this ride in my first visit to Six Flags Over Georgia back in 2016, and the coaster had some very powerful airtime in the first half. However, Georgia Cyclone developed a reputation as a rough ride throughout the 2000s. To help smooth the ride, Rocky Mountain Construction replaced roughly 1/3 of the traditional wood track with their smoother topper track for the 2013 season. While these sections did ride a lot better, they stood out like a sore thumb against the ride's rough patches. When I rode it, the first half was tolerable, but the second half was quite shaky. Six Flags had to decide whether they wanted to continue replacing Georgia Cyclone's track or hire RMC to perform a more extensive conversion. And enthusiasts got their answer in July of 2017 when the park announced that Georgia Cyclone would close at the end of August. Combined with the markings by the coaster, it was clear that this ride was going to be the 7th coaster in the Six Flags chain to get the Iron Horse treatment. Now, I actually enjoyed the old Georgia Cyclone despite its roughness, but Twisted Cyclone is 100% an upgrade. However, you may not have realized that on announcement day. After Six Flags Over Georgia announced what very well could have been their best coaster yet, enthusiasts criticized the ride's short length. Georgia Cyclone is already one of the shortest wood coasters to be converted into a hybrid coaster, as it featured just 2,970 feet or 905 meters of track. Twisted Cyclone used 20% less track, but that figure doesn't tell the full story. What was most striking about Twisted Cyclone's layout was that it would only have 2 laps compared to the 3 that Georgia Cyclone had. This shorter length causes Twisted Cyclone to have relentless pacing for the duration of the layout and finish with a bang. The alternative would have been another Cyclone in the Six Flags chain that receives a lot of flack in Wicked Cyclone. Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England is just a few feet taller than Twisted Cyclone, yet it features roughly 33% more track, as it has that third lap. This causes Wicked Cyclone to lose a ton of speed by the third lap, which is a major point of contention with that coaster. Now, I think most of the elements in Wicked Cyclone's third lap are still fun because they tend to offer airtime, laterals, or hang time, but there are some dud elements sprinkled in due to how little speed you have. For that reason, I completely understand why Six Flags only put 2 laps in Twisted Cyclone. It gave the coaster better pacing, lessened the risk of a valley, and more importantly, it's unlikely the third lap would have impacted the overall perception of the coaster amongst most guests. It would have just added cost to the project. Twisted Cyclone opened for the 2018 season, and it's one of the first coasters you see when you arrive at Six Flags Over Georgia. This attraction is positioned directly to the right of the main entrance. This causes the attraction to see its highest wait times just after the posted park opening time. However, you can still ride this attraction a few times at the very start of the day with no line. How? Get there early. Six Flags Over Georgia holds people in the Georgia and coastal areas in the morning for the rope drop. The latter of these 2 areas is home to Twisted Cyclone. Rather than keep the ride closed until the official park opening time, Twisted Cyclone actually opens as soon as people are admitted into the park, which is typically a half hour before the posted opening time. This allows you to essentially get a half hour of ERT in this RMC to start your day, because many guests don't expect it to be open. Twisted Cyclone has a rather small queue line. Even if the entire queue line is filled, the wait only takes about 45 minutes. The ride almost always runs 2 trains, and they look familiar to the other RMC trains out there. They each seat 24 riders across 6 cars, and they are equipped with the standard RMC lap bar and shin guard combination. As I've said in my reviews of the other RMCs, I don't mind these restraints because the lap bar profiling is comfortable and they do not inhibit the airtime. However, the vehicles can be a bit cramped for taller guests due to those shin guards. The trains are themed to classic cars and they look great. However, they really don't seem to correspond to the ride's theme. Twisted Cyclone is very lightly themed to a wild beach party during a massive storm. You have some signage in the ride's queue line, and then some artifacts adjacent to the pre-lift. The theming is about as bare bones as it can get, but I really don't mind because the coaster looks great with its bright blue track popping against the white support structure. And you're going so fast at most points on this ride, you really wouldn't be able to see most of the theming anyway if there was any. In terms of seat selection, I strongly recommend the back. Pretty much every element will deliver airtime or hang time regardless of where you're sitting. However, those sensations will be stronger towards the back, and there isn't a single element on this coaster that rides better towards the front of the train. Once dispatched, Twisted Cyclone slowly turns to the left and then heads down a small and surprisingly steep drop. If you're in the back, you actually get a very weak pop of airtime on this hill. You then bob your way over the lift hill to head over to the meat of the layout. After ascending the lift hill, you are thrown over a 75-degree first drop. It is one of the least steep drops on an RMC, but it is still a fantastic drop. Those in the back get some very strong ejector airtime, and there were two bonuses as well. First, the drop has a terrifying head chopper with a support structure for the wave turn. Second, the drop subtly twists to the left, which produces a quick burst of laterals after that airtime. These two quirks are what make this one of my favorite drops on the smaller RMCs. I know some prefer the barrel roll drops we've seen RMC incorporate on some of their other coasters, but I prefer the traditional RMC first drops. The airtime is so good I don't want to be deprived of it. That being said, Twisted Cyclone manages to offer the best of both worlds. The ride's second element is a reverse cobra roll, which is essentially a turnaround consisting of both a 0G roll and a barrel roll drop. The first 0G roll offers sustained hang time for everyone, and then the barrel roll drop picks up the pace. Those up front still get good hang time in the barrel roll drop, while those in the back will get less hang time in this element, but instead they get some great whip on the descent to compensate. Then comes Twisted Cyclone's signature element, the extreme wave turn. A lot of RMC's wave turns tilt riders 90 degrees, the one on Twisted Cyclone goes beyond 90 degrees, and offers decent and sustained ejector airtime. The visual of being horizontally ejected from your seat is incredible. I wish more RMC wave turns were profiled like the one on Twisted Cyclone. Twisted Cyclone then charges over a super sharp camelback adjacent to the station, giving everyone some good and moderately sustained ejector airtime. Rather than dropping back down to the ground, you then zip around an overbank. The element occurs in the blink of an eye, but it's not particularly forceful. But don't worry, you rise up another sharp hill and plunge back down to the ground. Those up front get just a weak pop of airtime in this element, while those in the back are violently yanked towards the sky. That's followed by a 0G roll buried in the ride support structure. This element offers a delightful mix of sustained hang time and countless head choppers simultaneously. Twisted Cyclone then begins its finale. The ride rips over back-to-back bunny hills. Those in the back get good ejector pops. While they're a bit weaker towards the front, they're still good. The ride then zooms around another overbank. Like the prior one, this one isn't very forceful, but this one at least has a ton of head choppers because it's enveloped in the reverse cobra roll's wood structure. There's one last bunny hill that is arguably the most abrupt ejector airtime pop on the ride. It really caught me off guard from its strength. Twisted Cyclone then heads up into the brake run. Usually this element offers a pop of airtime on the other RMCs. The entry into the brake run Twisted Cyclone instead has a sharply twisted element, so you get a lateral snap instead. So what would I rate Twisted Cyclone? I would give this coaster a 9 out of 10. While Twisted Cyclone is among the shortest RMCs, every single element outside of the two overbanks is a winner. I love the coaster's mix of strong airtime hills and floaty inversions, and like all the other RMC hybrids, Twisted Cyclone is immaculately smooth despite the intense elements. After riding this coaster in 2021, I do think this is in the lower half of the RMCs, but that's not a slight against Twisted Cyclone. It's more a testament to how great the other RMC coasters are. So those are my thoughts on Twisted Cyclone, the RMC hybrid coaster at Six Flags Over Georgia. What are your thoughts on this RMC? How do you think it compares to the company's other coasters, or the other rides at Six Flags Over Georgia? I would love to hear your thoughts about this ride down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.